From characters' voice actors unfortunately dying, to being written out of the show, there are over 10 characters who have completely stopped appearing in SpongeBob. And today, we're gonna go over what happened to all of them, starting with Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy, and they have a super sad story for why they stopped appearing, with the voice actors that played them dying in real life. But to get some context, let's look at the last episode they appeared in 2012, and this episode was called Super Evil Aquatic Villain Team Up Is Go, which is a crazy title. This episode is a memorable SpongeBob episode that brings us back to some of the show's most iconic characters for one final adventure. It begins with Plankton once again trying to steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula. This time, instead of going at it alone, he brings in a partner to help him carry out the plan, and that partner is Man Ray, a powerful supervillain and longtime rival of Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy. Plankton convinces Man Ray that he can rule the fast food world by defeating the Krusty Krab and stealing the secret formula.
Then together we will steal the formula, crush Mr. Krabs, and rule the world!
At first, everything seems to be going their way. Man Ray brings the muscle, Plankton brings the brains, and together they look unstoppable. But things quickly spiral out of control. As soon as Man Ray tastes a Krabby Patty, he becomes completely addicted. He falls in love with the food and completely forgets about the mission. Instead of helping Plankton, he eats non-stop until he's too bloated to move. Plankton grows more and more frustrated as their plan falls apart. His evil scheme turns into a total failure, and he is stuck trying to manage a partner who only cares about burgers. SpongeBob sees what is happening and realizes he can't stop it on his own, so he turns to the only heroes he's ever had in Bikini Bottom to keep the villains in check: Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy. The problem is that they're retired. They live in a retirement home and have stepped away from hero work, so SpongeBob tries everything to get their attention. He sneaks into their retirement home, disguises himself, and begs for help. No matter what he does, the two heroes refuse to return to action. Just when it seems like all hope is gone, Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy then arrive. They march into the Krusty Krab and take down Man Ray in seconds. Plankton then is left with a giant food bill, and the chaos is finally over. SpongeBob is thrilled, and the heroes head back into retirement like nothing ever happened. What makes this episode so important is the fact that it marks the final appearance of Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy with newly recorded voice lines. This is the last time they appeared as full characters with a role in the plot. Not long after this episode, the actors behind them passed away. Ernest Borgnine, the voice of Mermaid-man, died in 2012, and Tim Conaway, who voiced Barnacle Boy, passed away in 2019. Their deaths meant the characters could not return in the same way. Rather than recast them, the creators chose to retire the characters completely. It was a respectful choice that honored both the voice actors and the roles they've played for so many years. There is one more episode where Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy show up. It's called Pat-Man, and it aired in season 9. In that episode, Patrick pretends to be a superhero.
I am Patrick-man!
And the two legendary characters briefly appear. However, their voices are not newly recorded. The lines used are pulled from older episodes. The appearance is small and is meant as a tribute rather than a return to action. That's why Super Evil Aquatic Villains Team Up and Go stands out as their true final episode. After this, they were never involved in another plot. In later episodes, they sometimes appear in the background. They might show up as toys, posters, or decorations, but they never speak again. The show made the decision to leave the characters alone and let their legacy stay untouched. Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy had their final moment, and after that, they slowly disappeared, never having a new speaking role in the show again. People still remembered them, but sadly, everyone cannot live forever. And they aren't the only ones. The next character who used to be important, but over time were left behind, is Man Ray. Man Ray used to be Bikini Bottom's most dangerous enemy. He made his first appearance in the episode Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy 3, where he is frozen inside the Merma layer and kept as a trophy, but SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally unfroze him. Right away, he tried to escape and return to his evil ways, but instead of fighting superheroes, he was stuck being rehabilitated by SpongeBob and Patrick. They tried to teach him how to be a good person. This gave us the famous wallet scene, where Man Ray keeps getting shocked shocked by a tickle bill every time he refuses to take the wallet he says isn't his.
You gimbal, take back your wallet or I'll rip your arms off!
The episode showed how SpongeBob's weirdness could even defeat the most serious villain. He returned in Mermaid-man Barnacle Boy 5. This time, he teamed up with Dirty Bubble to form an evil group. But SpongeBob and the Bikini Bottom created their own superhero team and stopped them in the dumbest way possible. Man Ray lost again, and his final appearance was in Super Evil Aquatic Villains Team Up As Go. This time, he worked with Plankton to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, but he got distracted and ate too many patties so he couldn't move. That was the last time he had a real role, and after that, he's kind of faded away. When Mermaid-man and Barnacle Boy were retired from the show, Man Ray disappeared too. His story only made sense when they were around. Without them, he had no real purpose. As expected as Man Ray's disappearance was, there is one character who was completely swept under the rug. Flats the Flounder. Flats was different from your usual SpongeBob character. In the show, he only had one goal, kicking SpongeBob's butt. He was introduced in season 3 in the episode called The Bully, where SpongeBob walks into boating school and meets a new student. Flats seemed friendly at first, but then out of nowhere, he says he's gonna kick SpongeBob's butt for no reason. That's the entire plot. SpongeBob spends the whole episode trying to avoid getting his butt kicked. It turns into one long chase. SpongeBob hides and panics, and even tries asking Patrick for help, but nothing works. Flats keeps showing up everywhere. At home, at work, and even inside of SpongeBob's dreams. Flats finally punches SpongeBob over and over, but because SpongeBob is a sponge, it does nothing. Flats gets tired and falls over, and SpongeBob wins by doing absolutely nothing. That was Flats' one big episode, and after that, he quietly disappeared. He made a few silent background cameos in later seasons, but never got another speaking role. Maybe the writers felt his story was finished. He had one joke and one job, but he did it well, and now most fans forget he ever existed. But whatever happened to Grandma Squarepants? Grandma Squarepants was one of those characters who felt important at first, but slowly disappeared over time. She is SpongeBob's loving and sweet grandmother. She lives in a cozy little house and always treats SpongeBob like a child. Cookies, milk, kisses on the forehead. To her, he is still her baby boy. She first appears in the episode Grandma's Kisses from season 2. In that episode, SpongeBob is excited to visit her, but when Squidward and the other adults at the Krusty Krab laugh at him for having a kiss on his forehead, SpongeBob gets embarrassed, so he tries to act grown up, but deep down, the entire time he misses the attention. Pet Sitter Pat from season 8 was her last speaking appearance before retirement. She shows up in a flashback or a background scene.
Why go home when I have Grandma's down-home folk remedies right here?
And she speaks once or twice, but she never got another major role until recently. In the episode Don't Make Me Laugh from season 14, where Grandma Squarepants came out of retirement just to have one more role. But my theory for why she took such a long break from the show is because SpongeBob stopped needing that side in his life, and as the show got louder and faster, there wasn't much space for quiet family moments. Grandma Squarepants became one of the many characters who got left behind. It's really sad to see a character let go, especially someone this sweet, but that's just how the show works. But another character who was seemingly let go is Patchy the Pirate and Potty the Pirate. Patchy the Pirate was more than just a character. He was SpongeBob's biggest fan.
I can't believe it! More SpongeBob!
He lived in a small house in Incio, California. His house was full of SpongeBob toys, posters, drawings, and random pirate stuff. He lived in the real world and talked right to the viewers watching the show. With him was Potty the Pirate. Potty was a talking puppet who flew around and always made fun of Patchy. Patchy was happy and full of energy, and Potty was just rude and wild. Like I'm talking, they fought in every scene, but they always stayed together. Their first appearance was in the season 2 Christmas special. Patchy hosted the special from in his home and introduced the first Christmas in Bikini Bottom. He tried to throw a party while Potty kept making a mess. It was silly and fun. That episode helped fans feel like they were a part of something bigger. It made SpongeBob feel like more than a cartoon after that, because Patchy and Potty showed up for a lot more episodes. episodes. They were in The Sponge Who Could Fly, Party Pooper Pants, Atlantis Squarepants, and Truth or Square. When the show had a special, they were usually a part of it, but over time, they started showing up less and less. Patchy's stories were cut shorter, Potty stopped talking as much, and the wild energy just wasn't the same. One possible reason for this is that Tom Kenny, the voice of Spongebob, also played Patchy. As the show kept growing, filming Patchy scenes became harder. The show also changed styles. Older episodes were slower and weirder. Newer ones moved faster and left less room for live action parts. Their last real appearance was in SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. Patchy showed up to celebrate the 20th anniversary in 2021. He talked to fans, went on a fun journey, and helped bring back that classic SpongeBob feeling. Potty was there too, still flying around and causing problems. Now, they don't appear much anymore, but you won't see them in spin-offs or new seasons. Many younger fans don't even know who they are. They've become forgotten parts of the show, but fans who have watched the earlier seasons still remember them. Patchy and Potty made the show feel personal, and most of all, they made every special feel important. But next, whatever happened to the French Narrator? The French Narrator has been with SpongeBob since the very beginning. He never shows his face, but is the voice of some of the most familiar sounds in the show.
A few minutes later.
And you know exactly who he is. He usually starts the episodes with short lines like,
"Ah, the sea, so fascinating.
or,
Here we find SpongeBob once again stalking the wild jellyfish."
he pops in to set the scene, explains what's happening, or skips
2,000
ahead in
years
time.
later.
He doesn't interrupt the story, he adds to it, like a quiet guide walking us through the underwater world. The French Narrator is voiced by Tom Kenny, the same person who voices SpongeBob and Patchy the Pirate. His voice is meant to sound like a real-life ocean explorer. That's why he speaks with a strong French accent. He makes the show feel like a silly nature documentary. These quick time cards that he said started to become a part of SpongeBob's comedy style. Other shows copied them, fans still repeat them, and they've become a part of meme culture. Even though he's so important, the French Narrator never got a full story. He's never had his own episode, although he really doesn't need one, and his job is to support the show, not star in it. Over time, his voice started showing up less. Some newer episodes skip the narration or use different time cards. Because of that, the French Narrator slowly faded back into the background. His last known appearance was in the 2023 special, The Title Zone, where he showed up in live-action segments and helped guide the multi-universe story. Since then, nothing. No time cards, no narration, no little comments, just silence in Bikini Bottom. That's why, even if fans still recognize the voice, the French Narrator still counts as a forgotten character. He was never gone in name, but the show stopped using him in the way they used to. And without him guiding us through Bikini Bottom, something always feels a little bit off. And even if people don't talk about him much now, his voice helped shape SpongeBob into what it became. And he was the quiet heart of the show. But someone's voice wasn't so quiet, and yet still managed to disappear. The Chocolate Lady only appeared in one episode, but made a big impact. She was strange, loud, and unforgettable. Most fans don't even know her name, but they remember her voice. All she did was say one word over and over again. She showed up in the season 3 episode Chocolate with Nuts. In that episode, SpongeBob and Patrick decide to sell chocolate bars in order to get rich.
Chocolate bar?
That's a great idea, Pat. We'll be traveling chocolate bar salesmen.
They go door to door convincing people to buy them. However, when they knock on her door, she opens it and starts screaming. Her eyes go wide and she yells the word
Chocolate!
over and over. She never says why she loves chocolate so much. She just screams and runs after them. That whole scene became one of the most famous parts of the entire show, and the Chocolate Lady never appeared again. She's a great example of how SpongeBob could make even the smallest characters stick, and all it took was one crazy scream and she became a legend in the fandom. But last but not least, there's a character so forgotten, yet he's had a ton of major roles in the show. King Neptune was once one of the most powerful characters in SpongeBob. He ruled the sea with magic, lightning, and a booming voice. He was supposed to be the god of the ocean, the one that everyone feared and respected, but now he's barely remembered. He first appeared in the season 1 episode, Neptune's Spatula. In that, SpongeBob pulls a golden spatula from a grease bucket at the Fry Cook Museum. The crowd thinks that means that he's the chosen one, the new royal fry cook. King Neptune shows up angry and proud. He refuses to believe a small fry cook like SpongeBob could ever take his place, so Neptune challenges SpongeBob to a cook-off. He makes hundreds of burgers with magic and speed, and in the same time, SpongeBob only makes one, with love and care. In the end, SpongeBob's single patty is better than all of his. Neptune loses and gets humbled. It's a funny and surprising way to introduce a big godlike character. Later, Neptune came back in the first SpongeBob movie. This time, he looked totally different. In the movie, he was bald and wore a green robe. He had a short temper and zapped everyone who annoyed him. He portrayed a big role in the story, sending SpongeBob and Patrick on their mission to get his stolen crown. His daughter Mindy also helped him along the way. Even though he was important in the movie, his design confused fans. He didn't look or act the same as before. Some people thought he was a different character, even though they shared the same name. In later interviews, the creator said the movie version was meant to be a new version or a reimagination, not the exact same Neptune from the show. After the movie, King Neptune barely appeared again. He showed up in small cameos though, like background paintings and statues. His character became more of a symbol than a real part of the story. One reason he was forgotten is because the creators really just couldn't fit him into the show. The show focused more on simple stories, neighborhood problems, or issues with the Krusty Krab. A powerful god character really didn't have a place in the average episode. Another reason though is that he kept changing. His voice, design, and personality were different almost every time. That made it hard for fans to connect with him. He never had a clear role or story arc that stuck around. These days, King Neptune barely shows up. Aside from the occasional cameo, he's no longer a part of the main cast or important to the stories. Most new fans didn't even realize he used to be a big deal. He was once a major part of the SpongeBob universe, a ruler with magic power, but over time, he turned into a background character with no real place in the show. Still, the few times he did appear gave us some great moments. The cook-off with SpongeBob, the stolen crown adventure, and his loud, dramatic entrances. He might not be completely gone, but in a show that once gave him center stage, Neptune's glory days are definitely behind him.